Good evening, namaste, adab, and sat sri akal. A very warm welcome to the viewers of the Shruti Dutt show. And I have come back after a long time today with a very, very special guest for you. And as you know, it's my intention to bring guests who can really inspire you, who can share something from their lives, which will help you change that something in your own life and help you towards success and growth and transformation, because I'm all for changing your story, right? So today, without much delay, I'm going to call on Mr. Deepak Manchanda. He is a TEDx speaker. He has addressed over 100 times audiences in Canada, US, and through the medium of the TV. He has had 50 shows. He's been on the radio. He's part of the international speakers, guilds, and he's done a lot of work. But more than that, more interesting part of Deepak ji is that he is a spiritual storyteller. And that is something where I connected to him on during the pandemic. So, Deepak ji, before I talk about what we did during the pandemic, I want you to first introduce yourself to the audience in your own way, in your own style. So, over to you.
In short, my name is Deepak, and I'm from a small place in India called as Jammu and Kashmir, where I was born and brought up. Um, Half of my upbringing was in a village, and a part of my upbringing was in a temple called as Dasnami Akhada in Srinagar. And until 1989, when the migration actually started from there, when there was militancy, our family used to live there. And just merely a chance that that is a temple which is the starting point of Amarnath Yatra, the famous pilgrimage for Amarnath. It starts from that temple. And it is merely like, our good fortune that our family got certain apartments within that complex. So in a year, we had the opportunity to see naked sages. We called them as Nagas, who were, coming from all the akhadas all over the India, because some of the akhadas are in Gujarat, some are in Haridwar. So from all the akhadas, Nagas will come into the Snami Akhada, and then the Chadi or the Yatra will start. It's called as Chadi. So we had the opportunity to meet those intellectuals for 2 months in a year. And for sure, there was a little bit of contribution of the culture or the values or the religious, um, you know, um, I will call whatever I saw there, which are rituals that had the impact on me.
So,
But
Deepak
eventually,
ji, I'm just breaking our conversation a bit. What age was this? Were you going to school or not? Like you said, you were living in a temple. So, were you studying in the temple or were you going to a regular school? What was it
uh,
like?
that was just like our homes were there, but we were having the normal education. It is just like, that we were fortunate to get a rental accommodation within a temple.
Oh, okay. Wonderful.
So four of my dad's brother were having their apartments there, but we were living a normal life. And in those 2 months only, these sages will come. Otherwise, most of the time, the akhada will be empty or with very limited number of sages.
Right.
And then he started, our family migrated, and eventually I also went for my engineering life, continued. And in year 2001, at the end, I went through a transformation within myself. And from 2002 to 2005, that experience was very, very profound in terms of learning something which was deeply embedded within each one of us. But then eventually we forget questions like who am I, who created me, why was I created. So these are the normal questions which comes in anybody's and everybody's mind at one point of time in their life, and those came into my mind also. So I started discovering or rediscovering myself. I started learning and unlearning certain things, and eventually that journey continued until 2000, from 2002 to 2009. And then I made up my mind that if one at one point of a time in my life, I will be only speaking about the spiritual knowledge or the spirituality And idea was that I was living in the world. Um,
In the
so like after doing my engineering, I just missed that portion.
हाँ,
So I
आप
just
बड़ी
want to
जल्दी
get you.
जल्दी भाग रहे हो, आप थोड़ा सा स्लो चलो। अभी तो
Sure.
हम स्कूलिंग कर रहे हैं और हम जम्मू कश्मीर में हैं, हम नागास से मिल रहे हैं। उसके बाद आपने सोचा आप इंजीनियरिंग करो। सो डिड यू माइग्रेट बिकॉज ऑफ योर स्टडीज और वाज देयर एनी अदर रीजन?
No, I migrated to Pune University. Like I went for my education in Pune University. I did my computer
ओके,
engineering, and then
ओके,
I eventually started working in India. First, I was working in Delhi, then Bombay, and then one day I got posted in Middle East. So that was my first posting. And
मिडल
at the
ईस्ट,
age of
ओके,
26, I was in Qatar as the head of AppTech, a company into the education, IT education.
वंडरफुल।
And then I lived there for until 2001, and
So
2002 I
like you were a
migrated to
normal
Canada.
guy, you know, down the block,
Absolutely,
like done your
absolutely.
engineering, gone to Pune, gone to Qatar for a good, heavily good paying job. फिर वो तो
Yes.
बड़ा normal normal सब हो गया. Then when did you get married?
I got married in 95, eventually after finishing my engineering, and my
Okay,
wife is also from the same college. So we
wonderful.
so we had good number of years before we dated for a little while and then we married. And
And then from Qatar you went to Canada.
Canada, yeah. So idea
Okay.
was that we wanted to settle somewhere where we could have a little, we all migrate for better life. At least that is the
Yes.
one of the possibility. So we thought Canada will be a better place.
बच्चे हो गए
So we
होंगे तब तक
migrated in
तो,
2002.
for the
So
children's
eventually,
sake.
yeah, I just have one daughter now. She's graduated. She's working for the last 1 year. She's into HR, so she's doing okay.
Makes
And
sense.
yeah, and we came to Canada, and I became a director of a company eventually in 1 or 2 years, called as the company's name was Academy of Learning. And professionally also, I did very very well. I got 8 consecutive Canadian Consumer Choice Award, which
तो
was a
तब
big
तक तो
thing.
लाइफ बड़ी सॉर्टेड थी, ये पता था आप जिंदगी में क्यों आए हो, आप कमाने के लिए आए हो, घर बसाने के लिए आए हो, बच्चे को पालने के लिए आए हो, सब कुछ पता ही था। फिर ये
Right.
कंफ्यूजन कब स्टार्ट हुई कि मैं क्यों आया हूँ, क्या मेरा पर्पस है? व्हाई डिड इट स्टार्ट? लेट्स हियर दैट।
Sure. In my case, it was the worst time of my life. At times, you get into some kind of a trouble for which you do not have the answers. Could be a
यस,
physical problem, like people go through cancers, people go through certain diseases which are not curable, and then they fight. People go through financial losses in their life, which change their life. So, sometime there is a problem in your life for which you do not have any solution, and many a times you feel like the life should end out here. And
एब्सोल्युटली।
I also went through similar kind of a challenge in my life where I landed up in such a big issue at a very young age, where I didn't know how to go forward. Life just became stale and still in front of me, and I was only 31 at that time. And then eventually, I, the first thing was to blame myself for everything which I did. I acknowledged that whatever bad has happened because of my own choices and conscious decision, which is very much true. So in my case, it was not like any spiritual impact, but my problems of life put me into a situation where I was right into isolation. वो कभी कभी
So,
बोलते हैं
with
ना
your
डेजर्ट के अंदर
permission,
आप
Deepak ji, can we just share a little bit with the viewers? Like, that problem was basically the loss of your child, if you don't mind my
Yes.
sharing that, and
No,
which
no,
I
no.
totally, totally understand, because death is something, you know, that really confuses us, especially of our near and dear ones. And जब अपना ही बच्चा हो तो बहुत ही मुश्किल होता है to come to terms with it. So I have been through those situations with some friends, fortunately not in my own life, but very close friends. And in fact, in my book, Change Your Story Today, there are two stories. One of a, stillborn child, and how the couple has problems because of that. And there is a story about another child who grew up and died. So I totally, know that that is a time when it's really not possible to counsel anybody. So
Yeah.
that's why I wrote those stories, because if you read stories of how other people have coped, it gives you a lot of strength. So I totally understand that. And I think it is, rather than saying your bad time now, you should say it was the best time because it led you to so much of spiritual growth actually. So उसका कुछ पर्पस जो वो सिचुएशन आई लाइफ में वो यही होगा कि आपको इतनी स्पिरिचुअल ग्रोथ करनी थी और इतने लोगों को आपने कनेक्ट करना था स्पिरिचुअलिटी से. So that probably was the reason why you suffered all that. Sorry, I put on my coaching hat. I
No,
should
no,
go back to my,
no, no.
you know,
No, I
interviews.
understand what you are saying, but my life is not very different than anyone else. I think each one of us, we go through tough times in our life. Life is game of snakes and ladders, where time to time you are going to be bitten by snakes, like bad experiences, bad relationship, loss
True.
in your career, your job. There are very similar problems which each one of us goes. But the important is how we take that problem eventually. And many at times there are strong people who know that it is just a temporary phase. When the phase will be over, they can take the new ladders and start walking again.
That's again
But
climb
not
again.
everybody is bold, not everybody is brave. And in my case also, I was not very brave, so I bent on my knees and I was completely in isolation. There was nobody, because whatever happened in my life, as you already shared, that I lost my child, which was a game changing thing for myself. I started blaming that that child could have survived, and even today he would have been 21 years old. So I sometimes feel like that that could have been a blessing.
Yeah, I miss a beat.
But then those 3 years, when I took the blame, I just drank, I
Oh
worked
my God.
and drank. And that was like my routine. I'll finish my work in the evening and I need something so that I could be in a deep sleep. And I will wake up in the morning and I will go back to the work. And it continued for 2 to 3 years. And until one day I choked while I was flying from Moncton to Toronto in an official trip, and the flight landed about 40 minutes before time. It is my story that the ambulance was right there, and I was put onto the stretcher from the plane to the ambulance. I was kept for some time under observation, and then I was being told that I should see my family doctor, which I did next morning. And my doctor said that you are going through the extreme stress. It is better in case if you change your lifestyle. And that was the moment when I decided that I'll go to India and try to see in case if I could find peace there. And then I came to Haridwar. That was my first place. When I landed here, rather than going to my hometown from Canada, I went to Haridwar. I had 2 or 3 days, like I sat there in front of the Ganges, and I had conversation with some of the sages there. I asked my
Yeah.
questions, what I had in my mind, and my biggest, the two questions which I asked during that time was that when I know that what is good and bad, why I still do those things which I should not. And the answer was that this life is very tough. That's why God has given us multiple lives. We reincarnate in case if we fail, and that is the only reason, because it is very hard. So I got that one answer, and second was that what will what happens once you recognize that there is something wrong which has been done. And the answer was that redemption is only through the repenting. And then eventually I started reading some of the religious book, and one of the book was Bhagavad Gita. And in one of the chapters, in the 18th chapter, it was mentioned that you if you spread Bhagavad Gita, then sorry, if you spread Bhagavad Gita, that is one of the good thing or good deed what you could do,
Good
and it
cause.
might take some of your bad karma. So it was
Yes.
just like, sometimes some word you read and you just get connect that, okay, for my repenting, this could be one of the way that if I teach what I have learned, and Bhagavad Gita says right there, being at least a Hindu or Sanatan, I believe in Bhagavad Gita, and I took that verse and I thought what exactly I can do, and I realized in early 2000 when I started interacting with the people, I came across very intellectual people, but they didn't know what was written in Bhagavad Gita in totality. They knew Bhagavad Gita from the TV serial Mahabharata. They knew Bhagavad Gita's 4 verses or 10 verses, which comes onto the calendar, yearly calendar. तुम क्या
Yes.
लेके आए थे, तुम क्या लेके. I mean,
लेके
those verses
जाओगे.
are very important. But what exactly Gita wants to convey to you was not very, I was not getting those answers. So then I started reading Bhagavad Gita again and again and again and again, and not only just one book which I had, I read actually the translation of 3, 4 different authors, starting from Prabhupada and K. Raj and many other people.
Yogananda.
And eventually one day I understood Bhagavad Gita. I I don't
Wonderful.
know Gita, but I understood Gita, that what Gita actually wants to talk about. And in 2000, as I told you that my journey started in 2002, it took me about 7 years to understand that energy, what I was going through. In 2009, I made up my mind that one day I'm going to speak now. Though I'm doing my computer engineering, I'm working, I'm making, I have the way to put food onto the table. Yet I will see if I get the opportunity. And I got that opportunity in 2012. So there was one such opportunity where I had some financial backup. I thought like I had enough, and in that, the whatever target time I kept it for myself, the exit plan maybe from this career, I was confident that I will be able to do it. So in 2012, I created first of all the Bhagavad Gita. I wrote the crux of Bhagavad Gita, how I understood, and I created a short video for about 10 11 minutes. That video
Yes.
went viral, and today it has
Yes,
reached to
I
more
went
than
through that
60.
video yesterday. It was very nice, very concise, and I
Yeah,
would like to recommend it to the viewers to get the gist of the Gita in 10 minutes is not a joke, but you do get it in that video. And congratulations for that. I believe how many people have seen that so far?
it's more than 60 million collectively, because this video
Okay,
is being
wonderful,
uploaded on 2 3 channels, so collectively it has
wonderful,
reached to more than 60 million people now.
wonderful.
So that was
तो
basic
आप
in
हमारे व्यूअर्स को थोड़ा सा क्रक्स में बता ही दीजिए कि गीता का एक्चुअल सार क्या है आपके
Sure.
हिसाब से.
गीता बोलती है कि हम सब आत्माएं हैं,
हाँ जी.
हम सब सनातन हैं, और हमें ये शरीर और दिमाग uh, और कुछ श्वास मिले हैं. So that is the first criteria. So anybody who says like I am a spiritual person, so Bhagavad Gita is one of those books which just talks from the spiritual perspective of a person. So Bhagavad Gita says any one of us, we are spirits with a body and a mind. So this is
True.
called as Sankhya Yoga. The first chapter of Bhagavad Gita basically defines this only. And then
Yeah.
Bhagavad Gita explained that this test is basically to see the next level of awareness. Next level of awareness, when it comes, it means there is a possibility to see what is beyond this level. If we are playing level 1, Pac-Man level 1, or we are playing a video game level 1, so what will be in the level 2, you will know only once you clear this test.
Okay.
So Bhagavad Gita explained that this test will be on the earth, a ground which is the testing ground. And earth, or this testing ground, is made up of 5 elements: air, water, fire, earth, and ether. So these 5 elements make the testing ground where the Purusha or the spirit, Bhagavad Gita address spirit as Purusha, and the nature or the testing ground as Prakriti. That Purusha will come on Prakriti with a body and a mind and appear for this test. Now, the syllabus of this test is that every spirit during their lifetime will understand the 3 pillars of life. The first one is Dharma, that you
Dharma.
always remain righteous. So if you want to clear this test, you cannot lie. If you want to clear this test, you need to be righteous at all the time. Whatever is good universally is good. Whatever is bad is universally bad. Your good and bad cannot be different than somebody else.
True.
So be righteous. That is the first pillar. And in case if you could stay, being righteous, you don't steal, you don't take anybody else, what others deserve. That's what is
Do
called
not
as dharma.
disrespect anyone.
Right. And on top of that, that if you remain on dharma, and dharma does not mean the religion, dharma means dharma of mata, dharma of beti, Dharma of mother-in-law if you are, a woman. Same way, dharma of a brother, dharma of a father, dharma of a son. So those are basically your duties. You should be dutiful and righteous at the same time. That's the first pillar. Second pillar, Bhagavad Gita explained that while you are here, you should find the purpose and meaning of your life. God is so innovative and creative that if He has created one tree, one small plant, that has some significant value, that is bringing something in the universe and creating a harmony. So, Bhagavad Gita explains if you are being given a life, God is very, very wise and intelligent. You are actually doing something in this world. Some people unconsciously do that, they keep on doing, because let's say somebody in this life has got the opportunity to serve only his or her parents. They're just taking care of their parents. So that's basically how they would like to live their life, right? So,
Yeah.
but sometimes people do consciously that I would like my life to be dedicated for this thing. So whether it is conscious or unconscious, but you need to find the purpose and meaning of life. And you will find only once you find out what you can do best or what is your passion. That passion is actually your fruit. So if river's fruit is the water, and that water can be used for bathing or for irrigation or agriculture, and same way, if tree's job is to give the shade, point is what is the job of Shruti, or what is the job of Deepak? What are their fruits which they can share it with the other people? What are they bringing it onto the table?
Yeah.
And it is
So
not very
basically,
easy
for
to find
most,
out.
for the grehest, obviously the family always comes first, whether it is a man or a woman. So I would feel that that is where you're, in the normal life, that is what matters the most initially. But now
Absolutely.
you have kind of moved on, from your grehest, and you are like expanding your life to include more and more people, right? In the past few years. So
Right.
how does that trouble your life otherwise? Like, do you find it difficult to manage your time, give enough time to your family and to all your talks and speeches? How do you manage yourself?
Um, Look, I would definitely say there are challenges, because whatever we do, where we want to make ourselves meaningful, the money part is not attached. It is just a byproduct. You can be
Yes.
successful and make money, but it does not stop you for doing something. Second, until you are not successful, I will definitely suggest there might be somebody who is listening and right now walking on the path where they find that this is my actually purpose. I would definitely say until you are not successful in what you want to become, at least have the second channel open so that you could bring the food onto the table and keep your life balanced. If that will not happen, for sure there will be challenges. I
True.
also went through those challenges for sure. If you ask me financially, I was down for 3, 4 years. My wife supported me during that time. There was a time, when you are very much passionate, you do not want to do anything else with rather than what you do, because you want to throw and become vulnerable during that time. That let me see what will happen in case if I speak like that. And I also went like any other person who was trying to find oneself. I also went through that journey, and there are challenges all the time for sure. And I would definitely give respect to my family members who have supported me so far. I do not know where the things will go tomorrow, but as of now, I have a job along which I
नहीं, सब कुछ
maintain
ठीक
with.
होगा। अब तो आप चक्रा बैलेंसिंग करते हैं, सब करते हैं, तो लाइफ अपने आप बैलेंस हो जाती है ना, आपने सिखाया था हमें। So, yeah, just for the viewers, I want to share with them that I connected with Deepak ji during the pandemic on the Clubhouse. So I, was wanting to figure out, and I figured out some rooms on Hanuman Chalisa, Namya Kyo, because I have been into Buddhism for a long time also. So then I suddenly saw this room which said Kalki consciousness, and that really intrigued me. I said, "ये क्या room है? देखती हूँ जाके." And Deepak ji was there in a very sonorous, calm voice talking about the chakras, sharing with, a whole global family. People had joined in from all over the world, and he was telling them how each chakra can be balanced, what is the light, what is the mantra. And then he took us on a journey where I think every day, Deepak ji, हम एक चक्र को हम meditate करते थे ना.
Right.
We were doing one
Right.
chakra every day.
One thing, yeah.
And I think all of us really enjoyed that. Thank you so much for those sessions. And the promise was that once our chakras are balanced, because we were all emotionally disturbed at that time. All sorts of things were going on in everybody's mind. We had lost our siblings. Everybody had some, case or the other within their families. And businesses had crashed down. सब कुछ गड़बड़ हो रहा था. तो उस टाइम वो जो solace हम लोगों को मिलती थी मेडिटेशन करके, and with that, that vision and hope that now we are balanced. So today is going to be a very balanced day, and now everything will get sorted. And believe me, like, I'll give you a testimonial today because of those meditations. I think I remained so calm during the lockdown, and I was actually able to write my book, which probably won't have happened if that time had not come, because it was always हाँ लिखनी है, because I'm a literature student. So एक हर literature student की dream होती है एक book तो लिख के मरना चाहिए ना. We've studied literature. So, and I had done nothing because I was totally out of touch. I'm mother of three, grandmother to three now. So, I've been more with the children and pushing their lives and helping them, and the family. तो अपना तो कभी सोचा ही नहीं था कुछ भी कि खुद भी कुछ बैठ के करना है. बट एक रूम में लॉक हो गए, बाहर जा नहीं सकते, तबीयत खराब है, लोग मर रहे हैं, हमने भी मर जाना है, पता नहीं कल ही मर जाना है, तो क्या करूं. सो एक तो सुबह उठ के चक्रा मेडिटेशन करो, उसके बाद बैठ के बुक लिखो. दैट वाज माय लाइफस्टाइल.
Those were
एंड
really, really
बिकॉज,
nice days.
हाँ जी,
Those were really nice days because we
for
all
us, they were
opened up.
nice days. Although there was so much of trouble all over the world, we were still, in a very beautiful cocoon, I should say. And most of us have, come out of it like butterflies. Because we were talking about Himanshu, that young boy
Yes.
who's now taken up a job, how he did the music. And it was really nice. So I would like, there may be some viewers who have no idea at all about what chakras are, what chakra meditation
Sure.
is, and how it can benefit them. So if you could concisely just go through it with the viewers, that I think should, give them a
I will.
good
I'll
take
just
back.
break it a little bit so that if audience were listening, they can connect. And I'll finish Bhagavad Gita's, the just quickly. So
Okay.
Bhagavad Gita says that you are a spirit with a body and a mind. You come on this earth to give the test. There are three doors which you need to, three gates which you need to understand to get the fourth one. The first one is dharma, which means you need to be all the time righteous. And second is the artha, that you need to make your life meaningful by doing something for else. Third is calm, which means which says that there are six emotions which every spirit need to refrain self to get intoxicated. Those are anger, ego, greed, pride, lust, and jealousy. And in case if these snakes bite you, you will take a decision for which you will have the regrets and ultimately fail the test. But if you understand dharma, earth, calm, then you will actually get the fourth gate, which is called as moksha or liberation. So these are the four gates. Prakriti is made up of five elements, and you are here to clear the test. So this test will continue until you clear. Once you clear the test, then you will go to the next level. Bhagavad Gita
ये तो
also
टेस्ट
explained that
बहुत ही मुश्किल है. It has to be,
very, very, very
done
tough.
step by step, like काम, क्रोध, मोह, maya, ahankar. My father happened to be a great Bhagavad fan. He was also a Sanskrit scholar apart from being a bureaucrat. So मैंने गीता बहुत सुनी है बचपन से. It was like घर की मुर्गी for me, दाल बराबर. So मैं बहुत ज्यादा ध्यान नहीं देती थी. But despite that, इतना कुछ, because he was like that, he had read it. I think he could recite most of it. He read it probably 24 times at least during his lifetime. And तो ये सारी बातें ना जैसे टेकन फॉर ग्रांटेड थी कि ये सारी बातें पता है, सब कुछ पता है. कॉज एंड इफेक्ट भी पता है, स्पिरिचुअल बीइंग भी पता, सभी कुछ पता तो था ही theoretically. But to actually, when you live your life and when you you know connect to these sciences, when you are actually in a troubled life state, वही होता है. जब आपको, जब तक मुसीबतें नहीं आती तब तक आप सीख नहीं करते ना. You don't go seeking to understand anything.
Right.
So this whole thing about Bhagavad definitely gives you answers for everything. If
Right.
you can understand it with your life, as you said, reading is not enough. But if you
Yeah.
connect to it with your life and you have those kind of mystical experiences like you were talking about. आपने बताया नहीं कि आपने हरिद्वार पे साधु जब मिले तो that sadhu just vanished into thin air, which is the mystic part. यू नो और
So,
ऐसे
so
बहुत से इंसिडेंट्स होते हैं हरिद्वार ऋषिकेश में. इट इज नथिंग न्यू, इट हैपेंस. I have been to Rishikesh during the pandemic also, and I've had some very interesting incidents of my own, which I will share later with you sometime. But definitely, there is mysticism in this world. There is something beyond our, simple understanding of what life is and why we are here, what is the purpose. So each one has to, I think, find the answer for themselves, right? तो
right.
मैंने तो अपना आंसर बड़ा सिंप्लीफाई किया हुआ है कि आई एम हियर टू इंस्पायर. उससे ज्यादा मेरी समझ नहीं है. तो तो
I
मैं
think you're
जिंदगी
doing a
अब
good job.
मैं बस ऐसे ही जीती हूँ कि मेरा टेस्टिंग पॉइंट ये होता है कि अगर मैं ये काम कर रही हूँ, विल इट इंस्पायर समबडी? इफ इट विल, देन आई डू इट. इफ इट डजंट, आई डोंट डू इट. इट्स एज सिंपल एज दैट. सो
So
मैंने
I got that video. Then that became popular in the next 7 8 months. It reached
द
to more than
भागवत गीता वीडियो.
people.
यस.
So I decided that I'll become a speaker now. So I
So
told
was that
my
your first YouTube video? When did you start your YouTube journey?
March 3rd or 13th, sorry, on 2012.
After you read the Gita?
So I read whatever I read between 2002 to 2009. So my transformation or meeting gurus and traveling, everything went between 2000 2009.
And
But
YouTube started in 2009?
no, it was, I believe, before, way before, but my first video was in 2012. I did not put any video before that.
Oh,
So
okay.
Bhagavad Gita was my first video. I put that, and that
Hmm.
became very popular instantly. And when
Hmm.
it became popular, then I decided that let me take this as a career. So I told my wife and my few friends, and nobody liked the idea. Nobody liked the idea that I will leave the job and then I'll try something. And I was young at that age. In fact, none of my, my parents or, my family members were in support. They thought like I'm doing it in the prime time when I should make
Hmm.
money and see the materialistic world. I should not be inclined towards it. But I think nobody can change what, because it is you who's going through that change, and you know better at that time, and you do not have ears even to listen to anyone else. You're so adamant in whatever you are doing, and
True.
I've been through that. That's why I'm talking about it. But I still took the chance and I said, okay, give me the 90 days and let me try. And I'm again suggesting anyone who wants to live their, live their passion or live their dream, you always have a exit plan also.
Hmm.
Without an exit plan, you probably will be on tubes in no time. Like you will really, really go down. So I said, let me keep 3 months. And in those 3 months, I started building the base for myself because I was being told that nobody knows you. Why would people come and listen to you? Just because of Bhagavad Gita, probably it will not. But by that time, I already had 8 consecutive Canadian Consumer Choice Award. My articles not related to the spirituality, but usually my articles on IT and other thing, there were more than 150 newspaper articles already written. I had some of the achievement in my life, but no one promoted that and said that whatever you did in that life was being paid by the organization you worked for. Now people would like to see what you are offering rather than what organization offered and what you worked. So I understood that concept. So I said, okay, I will just take 90 days. And in those 90 days, in case if I become successful, then I will continue. And you will not believe it, on the 90th day, exactly on 16th November 2012, because I decided this on 15th of August 2012. I remember the date because it was Independence Day, India's Independence Day. And I was jokingly said that, okay, I want to become independent, so let me start here. So that's how it started on 15th of August. And on 16th of November 2012, I actually went onto the stage. And Sports Minister of Canada was the chief guest. There were, other member of parliament. I remember Param was there, and some other parliament, MPs were there, MPPs were there. There was a crowd of about 230 people. I sold the ticket for $35. My first show, and I sold the ticket for $35. Hall was full.
Great.
I have to kept a bouncer, like the team of bouncers, to manage the security aspect, since there were. And my show went on live on ATN television. So if you know that
Wonderful.
ATN television, they were very kind. They took my show and put it on live. Now I think sometime, like after the show, I think I got that kind of mileage because people somehow wanted me to see how I fail on the stage rather than how I become successful. It happens because all out of blue, when you come and say like I'm going to discuss about this, and it is normally like people want to observe you, keep you under microscope, for that reason.
But did that
Anyway,
bother you? Like you were bothered about what people are thinking?
no, absolutely not.
Yeah.
And before I even came, like I finished my session, it was for 90 minutes. And one of the radio stations, his owner was Sudhir Anand, and they had one of the prime radio and newspaper, their weekly voice, and they have a radio station like radio channel also. So they offered me to come on their radio every week as a guest. So my show ended, and I got one assignment at least to start with. That was courageous. So I started doing more because now my exit plan, I am beyond my exit plan. My video is popular, my show has become hit, and I'm going on to the radio. So it was like a progress has given me the ability to take the decision that I can continue for a little longer. Since I
Yes.
had some financial backup, so for 2 3 years I continued speaking. I spoke at University of Toronto, York University, and plenty of universities worldwide, including two universities in Jammu from where I belong, many
Wonderful.
career colleges, employment hubs. So I started sharing, but I could not monetize it because somewhere this knowledge has never been monetized.
Yes.
Never. Like management can be monetized, a motivational speaker can be monetized, but a spiritual speaker, when they put the price onto this, it means they do not understand what they are trying to share it with. As you said, I just want to see people, have making a change in their life in case if you are there. These things, even if it comes without money, we know it why we are doing it
You're
because we were
yeah.
passionate about
You're
it. So
inspired to
was
do it.
this. Things went so bad financially at one point
Oh,
of a time that I have to drive a taxi.
sustainable nahi raha na?
And that changed my life because somebody told my mother that your son is a computer engineer and he has worked as a director in the companies and now he's driving a cab. But for me, it was not a bad option at all. There was a movie released during that time. It used to be called as Dr. Cabby. Movie was produced by Salman Khan, and the actor of that movie and I was both were being invited by the Indo-Canadian Chamber of Commerce just to facilitate what we were doing. He became actor, I became speaker. And he told me the story of the movie, that in this movie he's a doctor, but because he's suffering, he's not getting the financial backup, so he started driving the cab. And that idea actually became the seed in my own life. The how about if I keep my suits in my car and keep speaking in the mornings, and in the evenings if I can make money, like student life, how people make the money. So I lived actually for few months that student life. But my mom was not very very happy with my decision, so she had a heart attack because of that.
Oh
She
my
couldn't take
God.
it. So it was very
अच्छा
dramatic.
लोग
And
वैसे पीछा नहीं छोड़ते ना, और माँ को पता नहीं किस किसने क्या क्या
so
कह
it
दिया
was very
करके.
very
That's
very
very sad.
dramatic. Yeah, so I came here. She was in ICU, and she told me like you need to change the life. And I had a little bit of pressure from my other family members also, because I have a family to support. And whatever I
And
was
you're an
doing,
engineer. We can't see
yeah,
you
it
driving
was
this
very, very
cab.
stressful. It was very stressful, especially coming from how I lived my life. I was director of couple of companies. I was
Right.
making very good money. I'm probably, you will be surprised to know that I'm the first computer engineer from my own state. There was no computer engineer before I finished my
I can
engineering.
imagine. I mean, at that time when you must have done it, it was very, very
91,
big.
yeah.
India में तो computers ही 81 में कौन सी ईयर में
Actually, the
आए? I think
engineering started in
87
about
में properly
84.
आए हैं computers.
So 87, the first batch came out, but until 91, there was no computer engineer from my state.
Yeah,
So I
I
was
know.
very, very fortunate to be getting the best jobs and best assignments, and all of a sudden, like, I could not monetize. I'm not able to put food onto the table. My wife is supporting me. So you hear a lot of things around, and I was not under any pressure, but still, as a man, I have to take certain responsibilities.
So you went
And
back to
then
work.
I reworked on my career. I did my 4 certifications in 90 days, and I joined my career as a IT professional and started working as a project manager. And I was again lucky to work in the best companies like Wells Fargo, FedEx, even the AIG, which are the leading organization in US. So I got the opportunity to work in those organizations after I changed my career. Whatever I lived professionally, I changed back,
But you
and
had the
it was
good
all
fortune
because of.
of spreading the Gita's message by then, no? वो भी तो हो गया था.
I think that I'm very hardworking. I'm very focused, and I'm I'm crystal clear in what I want in my life. In fact, one of my superior once told me, and it was his observation, and he was an old man. Now he's around 82, but I worked with him for about 12 years. He was my boss, and one day he told me that I know when to put teeth on in the flesh. So that small expression actually was his observation, that I know what I want in my life and when I want in my life, and that is an inbuilt thing. It is not like I have to be proud about it, but it is just an unconscious instinct within me which kept me going. So even after moving from India to Qatar to Canada and finally US, 4 countries in just last 30 years, and changing my career from the management to a spiritual teacher, along with an IT professional, and balancing the life was really, really hard to juggle all the balls in the hand. But I'm doing it, and until I don't get exhausted, I will keep doing this multitasking, because I know one day I have to just speak what I know, for which I
Wonderful.
need not to be prepared, and that is what my topic will be: spirituality. But until that time, until I'm not uh,
You have to
done with
balance.
this myself, when I will say yes, I'm done with my responsibilities, I'll manage.
Right.
But for sure, my life is dedicated to the people who are on their spiritual path, because it's not easy. It can give you physical, mental, emotional stress. You can become crazy. You can have problems like blood pressure, sugar, backbone pains, and the leg pains and the vertebral column pains.
वो
You
सब तो
can
बिना
lose.
spiritualism के भी हो जाती हैं problems. Sickness is a part of life.
But this, for sure, other things can happen because you are going through a good or a bad time. So there is an impact. But when you
Yes.
go through this spiritual change, as I told you, the experience is so profound that whatever you have learned so far, you just want to unlearn. You just
Hmm.
want to unlearn. And when you unlearn certain things in life, which you are doing for so many years,
Yes.
it is challenging. Like, you have a lifestyle, you drink, you enjoy certain venues, but all of a sudden you don't want to go there. You are
Correct.
saving your money, you are financially becoming a little shrewd, cunning, but all of a sudden you have no value for the money. So what will happen? You will lose your job. You will not have a grip on your business. Most of the time, spirituality put you onto the bed. You become lazy because your hormones are changing. So you probably will go through depression or anxiety. So when you go through these things, and sometimes people just feel like they have become the prophets, schizophrenia or these kinds of a thing. So what this journey takes you to a real, it's a real hard journey. It's not easy at all. And the people who have been through it, they will understand what I'm talking about.
Yes.
At one point
So
of a
I
time, there
want
is
you
no
to
one around you.
नहीं पर
Sorry.
आप हमारे दर्शकों को डराओ मत because we want to encourage them into a better understanding of spirituality definitely and
That's
so
why I
any
started speaking and I started creating those tools and techniques,
yes
that how that other people do not go through those challenges what I went through personally. And
yes
that is helping me because, when you get involved into something over the years, you start learning about the minute details which are basically, uh, give you the wisdom. And and my intention for the last almost since 2012 is that I should be able to give those tools in such a simple language that even from grade 8th or ninth, a child can understand. To
actually that's a
amaze
very
you.
good idea because more and more children students I see the youth are so interested in the Gita and the Upanishads these days they are actually studying the text like our generation was not that eager to study the texts. So compared to our generation, the new, the younger kids are really into it. They want to study Sanskrit. They want to understand the Gita, and somebody like you who can simplify things for them. That would be really an ideal, and kind of give them an introduction into this world of wisdom which we have, which is our ancient Indian tradition. It is so lovely that you can connect the youth to it, and not only just the Indian youth, but globally you're doing it. And so, any take backs, any favorite quotes or something you can share with the youth, which they will take back from this interview and remember something that will inspire them,
Yes, actually the answer
something which will
is
keep
in
them
the
going when
question
they feel.
which you asked me. Sorry, the voice got you can continue, please. What were you saying? So
नहीं
I
आप
if
बोलिए.
I got your question, I will just say, you asked me a question before, can I explain about chakras? So now I
Hmm.
will come on to that so that people can understand. So what happened when you go through your spiritual journey? Actually, your chakras start getting open up.
Hmm.
So now, when these chakras open up, they give you new wisdom, and that new wisdom actually is the disruption that makes you a little unbalanced, because what you are learning now, you are not learning from any book, you are not learning from any other's experience, you are learning from your own experience every day. And that basically makes you unbalanced. And you will see, even the puberty is a very spiritual experience. So anyone who has gone through puberty will understand that between the age of 13 to 19, there were things which they experienced on their own, when their thoughts were changing, when their emotions were changing. And many a times you may have seen and can relate that that is the age when children were getting angry, children were getting, indisciplined, children were raising their voices. Same way, when people go through the spiritual experience which is called as awakening, same changes happen, your hormones change. And unless and until you do not know how to handle it or balance it, you will end up in having those medications which will make you really bad, really bad. So I will not suggest anyone to go through. If anyone is right now, the symptoms of spiritual awakening is that people talk about God all the time. If not God, people will still talk about some higher self, creation, creator. People talk about, those, what do you call, um, like conflicting story. People's mind bent will be toward those things which does not exist. Some theories and, something against the government. People will start talking about against some of the systems. People will be very vocal during that time. People will change their appearance, probably will keep the beard or put a tilak or put the rudraksh mala. So those are actually those people who are going through a spiritual change within themselves. Otherwise, they will not have those kinds of a thing. So if you see somebody who's putting a tilak and a mala, all of a sudden, because that was not in the nomenclature. I'm not talking about Brahmins or somebody who's already in that, but you are seeing a normal person, an engineer or a doctor, and then they change themselves. So, if there is a teacher, or if somebody knows that this is basically a problem for the next 7 to 10 years, and they have a teacher, then they do not go haywire. Otherwise, people after that transformation come back and live their own life. Vinod Khanna is one of the example, if you remember. He also went through a spiritual journey. He found a guru, a teacher. He stayed with him until his spiritual journey was not over, maybe for 7 years, 8 years, and then came back and became a better person also. His decisions, his wordings were way better when he went through that journey and came back. So going through this journey is basically our birthright as a spirit. If we do not go through this transformation, we will never understand who we are and why we are here. So this is mandatory thing. But when we will go through it, that is not in our hand. Some people can go in an early age, some people can go in a later age. Most of us, 80% of the people, go only when they go through a bad time. Usually this bad time comes in 40s, 40 to 50. A lot of people get awakened, a lot of people go through bad things in their life, and that is the time when the actual transformation happens. So if puberty happens during 13 to 19, the awakening happens usually in 40. And awakening is the first step. Once you are awakened, the fruit of the awakening is that after 7 to 8 years, you will be enlightened. So awakening is beginning. Enlightenment is basically the result of that awakening that you have understood. Enlightenment is nothing but Atam Gyan. Atam Gyan means who you are, who and why you are here. But to
Why you are here?
understand this and live this, it takes a lot of years. And the
Yes.
end result
But
of
as we,
awakening.
if we go by the Gita, which talks about lifetimes after lifetimes, so we do have, especially in India, we have Vivekananda, who was definitely awakened and enlightened, and in fact, he lived to be only 28. So it's not that you get enlightened only after 40. It can happen at any age, I
And
feel,
anytime, I told you,
because it's coming from your past lives, your level of
80% of the
enlightenment.
time, absolutely. I don't disagree. That's what I said. 80%
Yeah,
of the time.
and even children,
20%
like
time, anything can happen.
I happened to visit in the Tenga, valley, the Rinpoche, the next Dalai Lama of Asia. So he's just 4 years old, and he's an enlightened soul, And now, of course, he must be 7 or 8 years old now. But so we
I
do
don't know
have
if
these kind of
I
people
can't
right
comment on
here in
that.
this world,
Yes.
and when you meet them, you do realize that there are so many things beyond the normal eye. What the normal world and the materialistic world that we are in, and understanding spiritualism definitely kind of gives you a better understanding of your own personal life, why we are here, what do you want to do, and why are where will you go from here? That is the prime question, I think, in any thinker's life. Everybody has those questions in their mind, and nobody, I feel, can actually answer it for you. It is each one has to answer it for themselves. They have to go on their own seeking journey of spiritualism to understand that. And I'm so glad that you're on that journey, and